Okay, sorry about that. I guess I'm just not going to use my computer. I have great internet, but I think it's my computer. And I have everything updated, so I'm just going to chalk it up that I need a better computer and then maybe eventually down the road a better phone. All right, so humans, wherever you go, there you are. And so I learned a lot of lessons in my life. I learned a lot of lessons in my life, okay? As a kid, running away all the time, which I did, dealing with just major issues, and then as a young adult, running away. Okay, going from one state to another, finding that the grass is never greener anywhere else. And that's also translates into even the next world when a person believes they should die, where they're going to ultimately end up. It's not where you think. And I'm not saying you're going to hell or heaven. You're going to be in suspension. Now, someone could say they can call that karma. They can call that, I don't know, reincarnation, whatever you want to call it. I mean, but that's the thing, is that running away wherever is actually counterproductive. And so wherever you are, wherever you go, there you are. No matter what, whether you're in a meat suit or you're in a spirit form, you still bring the same issues. But now you'll have less issues because you won't have a meat suit. But now you're not going to have the joy of having a meat suit to be able to feel, touch, taste, experience. I mean, you can see stuff, but you can't touch it. Okay? And so I learned a long time ago that I had to deal with who I was. I had to deal with how I grew up. I had to deal with the world that I lived in. I had to deal with just everything that, me not measuring up to the people in my community, whether it's in school or whether it's family or whether it's friends or whatever. I've always been just totally different. And so I had to really face myself. And I was forced to face myself even more so the last 5 years. Okay? Because I was still running away even in my 30s. I think, leaving California to move to Ohio, but then also traveled in all points in between and figured out that the grass is never greener anywhere else. The grass is not greener over there in Andromeda or Pleiades or the reptilian planet or any other galaxy. There is no better place than where you are right now. And so I think that humans are really, I don't know if they're the last great experiment. I think they're a great experiment to figure out how all the different humanoid alien species, all their DNA, and using the inhabitants on Earth, using the hominids, how they came about, I don't know. Okay, you can call it evolution or you can call it creation, but everything started from a single point of origin, and then it was expounded from there, and that's the microbiome. Okay, and then genetic manipulation made us either more advanced or more caveman-like, okay? And so we have that same mirror image here on Earth. And so I think humans are part of a great experiment to see if we can balance out the two extremes or all the different extremes in the universe. Just like when there's a heavy condensed group of metal, and then you have energy, and then you have biodiversity, how can all of those put together create something that is beautiful, functioning with a purpose and intention that could give life? Now, who thought of life? I have no idea. I have no idea even when life began. That started when that's like creationism mixed with evolution, because for evolution even happen, something had to be created to evolve, right? Right. So we know that creationism and evolution go hand in hand, they're conjoined. And so us humans are a hybrid of everything out there. We're the microbiome. We're a hybrid of everything out there, and that's why there's so much diversity. But the thing is how do you stay alive indefinitely without being recycled, being used as another prototype for another experiment? Because again, this is like infinite concentric circles. If you're experimented today, on one end of the scale, and you don't figure out how to not be an experiment, you'll be an experiment until you stop being an experiment and you actually conquer and counter the experiments that are out there. Okay? Hold on. So this is what I offer to all of you. I mean, some of you were bred to just be intellectuals, to be peaceful, productive, relatively tolerant, maybe reactive a little bit because someone tries to cross your boundaries. And you think that's the way to be. You think that's like, you're being a good person because you follow all the rules, you're in a good career, you have a degree, you're not making any kind of fuss, but you have allowed your body, you've abused your body to such an extent that it isn't well functioning. It's not now contributing to the overall bigger picture. So even though, yes, you lived a great life, you have great friends, and you have a great community and a great family, but you've abused your body. And so even that has to be looked at as like, okay, you may have followed all the rules here and you were bred to do that, and you have the predispositions to follow the rules and have this path, but you've allowed some part of you to be destroyed. Okay? Now, some people could be like completely extreme, where not only do they destroy their body, but they destroy the people around them. They destroy their community. They destroy their state. They destroy everything that they touch. And then that's where the serial killers, like I was listening to Charles Manson, like on my YouTube, I was listening to, because they were just trying to delve into the brain of a serial killer. And the reporter was really intense. Like he would not give this guy any leeway. But I mean, Charles Manson actually is very, very smart, very freaking smart, but he was never taught how to promote life. He kept his own life going for a certain amount of time. He was taught more to destroy the things that are around him. He's very angry, yes, because he was abused in reformatory school. And, his mother was, I guess, a prostitute or something. I mean, he did not come from really good beginnings. And so that was his world. And so, yes, you can have people on this earth at all different levels of destruction. So you can destroy your body at the micro level and still be like, oh, I'm a good person. Just like when someone pretends to be Pleiadian, oh, I'm so peaceful. And then you cross them, and then the reptilian side comes out, and it's like, oh my God, it was like a switch. Like they got triggered, and there you go. They're off like a rocket. Okay? And so that's the glitches in humanity that hasn't been fully figured out yet. But you can kind of like poke and prod someone and maybe try to control those triggers and those glitches. But it never really stays. It doesn't, it doesn't sustain itself over time. And then people start degrading at a very rapid level. And from that degradation comes the triggers, comes everything that was ever done to them, any trauma that came up for them at any point in time in their childhood or in their DNA. Somebody will trigger that, and then bam, the switch is on and the body degrades. And so now it's time for humanity, because now you were given 7 billion chances. Right now, you've been given 7 billion chances to figure it out. 7 billion chances to figure it out. Now what they're trying to do is say, okay, we're not going to give that many chances. We're not going to allow the earth to be inhabited by 7 billion people. We're going to work on getting earth to be only inhabited by 500 million, which means that what do you have to do to be one of that 500 million? Not just to be a passing ship in the night, but to stay here. But to stay here indefinitely and enjoy the beauty of, my God, I go outside and I listen to the birds, I look at the sky, I look at the grass, and my dog is so amazing, and my husband, he's doing his thing, and he's a bit of a reptilian, and he's even admitted he's a reptilian, so he won't tell me how he kind of knows that he had dreams as a kid, but he won't say what they were, which I understand. And so I don't see myself wanting to leave this. I don't look forward to going to another dimension. I don't look forward to leaving my meat suit. I don't have that kind of, that desire like I see in so many different, I don't know if it's religions or not even religion, because people say that they don't like religion because of the whole heaven and hell and whatever, but even those that are in the ascension world, they don't like to be here on Earth because they think Earth is inhabited by crazy people, and so they think it's something better over there, like on Pleiades or Andromeda or some other galaxy. And I'm going to tell you, no, if you have hate in your heart, if you have intolerance towards any person or entity or being, I don't care what it is, you haven't figured out how to live in a very diverse universe. Okay, so the whole thing with Star Trek makes freaking sense. Why Star Trek was shoved down our throat for many, many years. I grew up with Star Trek. My dad loved it. Okay? And then you have now all these different interdimensional movies and science fiction, really is science fact. And it's slowly being put out there, but disclosure is not going to happen until they scale down humanity who is not open to diversity. So now I get it with the whole non-binary thing. Remember, I've been preaching balance. I've been preaching not taking a side, but it didn't translate even in the genders yet. Because remember, we've been bred to take a side. We've been bred to be taken up for our family and our culture and our ethnicity and our belief system. And so to then say, okay, maybe we don't need these types of very constrictive categories and identifications, that really maybe humans can just respect each other. You can have love. Nothing's wrong with love, but make sure respect is first and foremost. Regardless of if you're black, white, male, female, non-binary, binary, whatever, who cares? Let all the different people be able to reside in peace without somebody saying that your idea, your skin color, your proclivities are bad, wrong, and whatever. Now we have laws. Now am I saying every single, thing is the same? Not as above, so below, because that shows that there are some things above and so below. It's all equal. Everything is equal. They're actually side by side. As above, so below, Tina, is actually side by side, because it shows that there is, like, one is above the other, when actually both are equal. But I know what you're saying. It's a reflection. But anyways, where was I going with that? I just lost my train of thought. But no big deal. So anyway, so oh God, man, you guys stop interrupting me. But yeah, so if you haven't really have the tolerance to understand all the diversity, okay, and that we can have so many different cultures, belief systems, whatever, reside here on Earth, then we be more open to then understanding the more interdimensional diversity that goes on out there. But right now, with just even the whole Trump stuff, and Biden too, okay, Biden people are not immune to the discrimination. When we have both Biden and Trump hate, the people that support them hate each other because of their beliefs. Because remember, hate stems from hate, and it begets each other. So if you stop hating, there is no one that's going to react to you. So if everyone stopped hating each other, whether it's Trump or Biden, guess what? There is nothing to work with. There is no drama. But that's not, so here's the thing. That's why you have to take yourself out of the war. So that way you don't give someone a reason to hate you. And so that's probably why we're not going to see too much alien disclosure for a while, until a lot of people that really can't handle any diversity are scaled down. And then it's going to be then those that are lucky, and those that are able to conquer death on this earth can stay on here with the 500 million. This place is heaven. Heaven, okay? I'm not saying that out there is hell. I'm not like I said, as above, so below. I'm not saying that so below is hell. I'm not even saying like the Stranger Things where there's two different dimensions. It's not hell. You're just in suspension. You're in the waiting room waiting to get a meat suit to be part of a very beautiful, like this is actually, I think Earth is the Garden of Eden. I really think Earth, not just one part of Earth, not just like, the Tigris and the Euphrates over there in Mesopotamia. No, I think Earth is the actual Garden of Eden. It is a gorgeous planet that you are so freaking lucky to be on. And the only reason why you would want to look forward to leaving it, because you haven't figured out how to be a balanced person on this earth. Okay? And so even if you're a spirit floating around in suspension, like those ghost shows, because even ghosts are on this earth, they haven't left. It's like, yeah, they could be floating out there in different dimensions. Who knows? Maybe the Pleiadians, who are not actually physical beings, they are a conscious thought. But they probably evolved to where they learned their lessons as being a spirit, and they're waiting. They're waiting to get onto Earth. When you think about it, if you really think about it, like an angel gets his wings. Every single person, if a person does this, an angel gets his wings. Well, every single time a person evolves on this earth, a Pleiadian gets their chance to be, whoever's helped them, gets their chance to then start over again as a baby, if somebody allows a baby to live and be this spirit, this balanced spirit. But that has to come from a balanced person. Okay? And so, yeah, it wouldn't make sense to have a Pleiadian who is so balanced, who gets it, and understands that there is, that there is the yin and the yang. So you're right, the whole as above, so below to some extent, but it's not like one's evil and one isn't. It's the fact that you need a mixture of both. So they have to be like side by side. They can't be like one's above the other or the other one's below. Because and then there's that whole story about, well, I'm better than you because I'm above and you're bad and you're below, which I'm already saying kind of right now, like, okay, it's better to be here on Earth. But when you're not here on Earth, you're rolling the dice that, that you're not going to be in some other physical suit. You don't know that. All we know is that we have ghosts. And there's good ghosts and there's bad ghosts. There's apparitions that you see, like Mary, Mother of God, and people say they see, and good spirits that help guide you, that help you get through a tough time, whatever. People say that they've seen that. And so I think that the body, mind, and spirit needs to be actually physically in its form. Now, as far as the reptilians and the different humanoids and all the Arcturians and their, conglomerations of humanoid with other types of species, where are they living? What kind of, maybe they don't live in a beautiful planet. Maybe that's why they're here on Earth mating with the women. But maybe that's why the Nephilim came down here to mate with the women, so they can find a way to kind of inch their way into Earth and take over Earth or something. I don't know. But you still, as a human race, still will be able to enjoy the diversity on this planet. Okay, so why were we not shown this a long time ago? Because we started off, we only been like maybe 10, we're not that old, we're so freaking young. Humans are young, just like America's young. When I look back on it, when I look at my timeline on history, 5, 6, 7, 10,000 years ago, that's not really a lot of years. When you think about it in the scheme of like how long Earth has been around, but people are like, oh yeah, time is just, it doesn't exist. Well, when you think about evolution, and then you actually measure and count the minutes of the day, when you actually can break everything down to minutes and quarks and meters and centimeters, when the metric system exists to measure out time, to measure out length, width, height, volume, all that, then yes, numbers can be very long. Now, as far as time, well, I mean, even though with all the electricity and the viruses and the therapeutics and all that, they may accelerate your evolution or accelerate your entropy, there's still going to be 24 hours in a day. The only reason why time seems to speed up for people is because they measure time based upon their age. What is their age based on how long they've been here? But then they also attribute their aging process. Oh, but people say, oh yeah, I'm 30, but I feel like I'm 80. Well, yeah, because your body has accelerated the entropy process, but you're still only 30 years old. But your biological clock and everything has sped up because of the fact that you weren't able to keep up with your environment. Okay, so I'm telling you, there's a huge thing going on that most people are not really aware of because they're still stuck in the politics, religion, and science. They're still stuck in very, very, very like controversial things that really in the big scheme of things doesn't make a difference. It's not going to prolong their life. It's not going to make their kids better or their family better. And so you're going to see a lot of people on this earth just wasting their time, wasting away. You know, either they're lost in pleasure, or they're lost in pain, or they're lost in activism, or they're lost in desperation. But they haven't figured out how to really conquer the true meaning of life, which is staying alive in body, mind, and spirit. And then finding that balance and finally taking themselves out of the war. And so that's why there is a huge depopulation agenda, because it's like doing jelly juice. You're releasing the excess, the waterfalls. Probably why a lot of people didn't like jelly juice at the beginning, because they're like, I want to keep everything. But when you see someone that keeps everything they've ever eaten their whole life, they're like 500 pounds. It's not healthy to keep everything you've ever touched in your whole life or ever ate. And then it causes hypertension, and it causes hormonal imbalances. So there's got to be a balance. And then, then yes, like, so people get recycled back, and then and if they didn't make it to be part of a larger, of a larger thing, then they'll be waiting in the wings, and maybe they'll be part of a larger thing somewhere else. But that's a gamble that you don't know. That's an unknown. What happens after you die is an unknown. This is known. Why would you want to go to an unknown when you can actually figure out how to be in the known? That's what I don't understand, is why do people look forward to the unknown? Why is that so desirable? I would rather figure out how to make my life work here than say, okay, I can't figure it out here, so I'm going to go move over to Canada. Not saying Canada's bad, but say I'm going to move to Canada and figure out how to do it there. And I don't know anything about Canada. I don't know anything about Canadians. I don't know anything about the world or their society. Don't even know their monetary system. Don't even know where the banks are, the food. Not that I couldn't learn. And I've done that. I've taken myself from California, moved to Washington, California to Mississippi, California to Hawaii, California to Arizona, Florida, Ohio. So I've picked up and started over again many, many times. And guess what? I go all the way back to California again. Well, this is the first time I actually stayed somewhere for more than a year. Ohio, because my husband helped me ground me. His reptilian ways helped me ground me. And then I figured out how to conquer my own freaking demons. So half my marriage was discovering my demons again and then conquering them. So at some point, some of you have to stay put, which means stay alive, to conquer your freaking demons. So that way you're not waiting in the wings to be part of this Garden of Eden, so to speak. Because this is the Garden of Eden. So I get it now. And so when I joined that group, the Galactic Federation of Light, or Light Warriors, or whatever, all these people that are star seeds, reptilians are star seeds too. But there's still discrimination even in the light worker world. I said I was Platilian, which is Pleiadian and reptilian. No one commented. No one even liked it. I didn't even get that post posted in that group because they have a discrimination against reptilians. Okay, which is a type of a personality type. My husband, reptilian, but that's those that are the ones that are mechanically inclined. They do the hard, laborious work. Yes, they may come from a baser level, but they're still intelligent, obviously, or they would be able to make it in our society. But really, the very foundation is very thick with the reptilian brain. And I understand that. And I am also part reptilian when you think about the personality type, because yes, you've seen how bitchy I can be. Okay? Some of you felt it. I don't mean to come it out, but sometimes it comes out sometimes, okay? And then there is a side of me that's very empathetic, that I want you, I want you, Tina, to figure it out. I want you to do the J-Dish, which you're doing. I think you're doing it. I want you to conquer the demons. I want you to stay on this earth and be part of this beauty, because I know what it's like to suffer. Suffering is because you haven't figured out the balance. Suffering is when, when you're still learning the mistakes that keep being made over and over and over again because someone hasn't figured out and inserted new information and you haven't been able to take to it. Okay? So I have a balance of both, where I could be a bitch and I can really understand where you're coming from and I want you to make it. Okay? And so, and my husband has that too, but he's looking forward to just passing through. And okay. And some people are hardwired that way because of that. So that's why jelly juice may not be for everybody, because some people are so hardwired to not evolve, because it's easier to stay in the trajectory they're on, because it would be very difficult to face all the things that ever plague them. Because I went through it all. Okay, 5 years of, oh my God, like going back in time. Okay, it's like going back in time when you go through the jelly juice. Peeling back the layers and layers, not only programming, but the layers of healing, things that were just scabbed over, smoothed over, pushed, suppressed. And now you finally get to feel it again and deal with it, and you'll survive it. And then it's gone back out there for someone else to pick up where, to pick up and deal with. But now you are a healed person. And then you can enjoy the beauty of this earth, and who knows what you'll be experiencing. And that's why I can see why people say that religion and spirituality is a personal thing, because yes, it is a personal thing. I'm not saying I'm religious or spiritual, because that has a whole baggage to it. But I could say personal evolution is something that people won't understand really where you're coming from, because they have to experience it themselves. So now I understand why our spirituality and religion, why it's not something that people can really explain. It's something that they're going to have to experience. And that's like the J juice. It's hard to explain J juice because you're coming from very like archaic, awkward terms like, pain and mucus and blood. And, it's like, this just doesn't sound inviting. And so you're just like, well, when you finally get through all those physical stuff, the feeling, the dreams, and just your predisposition, the way in which you react to people and act to people, and just your thought process, it's just so much more expansive. And then creativity and logic and intellect are now first and foremost. You're not going to be run by all of the mechanics in your body. You're going to be run by a higher frequency. And that is something that a person who hasn't reached that level to some extent will not be able to articulate to somebody who is trying to figure out, why should I do J juice? Because if you haven't reached that level of intellect, then you'll still relate to people on the same level as if you guys weren't doing J juice, because you haven't got to the next level on the evolution of J juice. So that's why it's hard for people to understand where I'm coming from, even in my J juice world, because they still have only reached maybe I reached the 10th rung and they're still at the 7th rung. They're still dealing with predispositions, and so it's very hard for them to see where I'm coming from when it comes to politics, religion, and science, and not taking a side, no discrimination, accepting diversity in all its forms, and then also applying boundaries, establishing boundaries, and not crossing them. Okay? And so that's a hard thing to get across to those that are still working with their physical form. So I'm just kind of giving you a glimpse of what to expect potentially if you're able to get through the physical part of J juice. And then understanding there's a bigger, larger picture out there, and you're getting a glimpse of it, but that's been called conspiracy or called something crazy, which is fine. Some people are only meant to be here for a short amount of time. But if you're able to withstand the physical part of healing and evolving, then the pineal gland, then you'll be able to experience the pineal gland without being synthetically manipulated like they do in ayahuasca or other types of drug manipulations. That you'll feel the pineal gland in its most organic form. You would have earned it, not try to manipulate it. And that's huge. That's the body, mind, and spirit all aligned. When you're not tweaking parts of your body and your mind and your spirit to get a specific reaction. It's there because you need it, because you're going through a certain situation, and then guidance is then being used through your pineal gland when you're sleeping at night. Because I've had that, where I've had issues, and I worked them out through my dreams and through my pineal gland, and thoughts come to me when I wake up in the morning, and then I'm writing on Facebook because I want to share that with you, because that's how we work with the universe when we're sleeping as well as when we're awake. and we can be a well-balanced person. And nothing is better than the other. But we still have to understand each side, but understand that there's balance. And that's what I've had to deal with, is figuring out how to balance out both sides. The agonist antibodies and the antagonist antibodies, the yin and the yang, the as above, so below. You know, those two, actually, everything is side by side, equal. All right. You guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later.